Before we get to your scheduled video, please remember that likes and comments tell YouTube to promote our work to other people, and subscribing to the channel tells you when something new drops. You can also head to the link tree in the description to peruse my books, join us on Discord, or support us on Patreon. You can get episodes of Journey of Wrestling and Violent Profiles early, as well as a load of other treats. Even just $1 a month earns you a name drop for being cool. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. Greetings and salutations, fellow Kang. It is I, Kang, joined as always by Kang.
Hey!
This here is the Two Kangs podcast, and today we're talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania for some reason.
It's important in the future Kang affairs.
That's fair. Hey, speaking of Kang, you know who else is Kang?
Kang.
That's true.
Kang.
Oh, also true.
And Kang.
We are contractually obligated to say their names, however, so I will mention Passion Killer 711, a guy from Ohio, and the perennial Rob.
That's what I said.
Right. This is for the benefit of those who aren't in the Kang dynasty. So robust.
A flavor.
That one's just for us, listener.
Yep. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. It was a movie film for theaters. We went to the theater and saw it. You may notice how this is coming out reasonably soon after the movie comes out. Sooner than usual.
Yeah, we gotta help it fight Cocaine Bear.
Yeah. I want it to beat Cocaine Bear because I want it to beat Cocaine Bear. There's no deeper motivation, I just do.
Cocaine Bear seems like a fine film.
Yep.
I nothing against the bear and the cocaine it consumes. Just, a lot of people put a lot of work into this movie, and I'd like to help support them. And I like this movie. Spoiler-free review, I had fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I've seen a lot of bad reviews of this. I'll say this. If you have watched the previous two Ant-Man movies, and you like those, you'll like this. If Ant-Man movies were never really your bag, I'm not sure what you want.
I mean, like, superhero movies in general, you know? This is a sticky wicket for us that we have questioned for a long time now. People really want to see superhero movies fail, die trying. And I think that there's nothing that... It's not like they're getting rid of other movies. There's more movies now.
There's just so... We have a whole other series on this podcast about how many fucking movies there are. For every one superhero movie, I promise you, there are a dozen completely replaceable mid-budget dramas about, I don't know, some guy is having problems with his dad.
Or a teenage girl is coming of age. There may be magical creatures. There might not.
There are so many of those. Teenage girls come of age so often.
It's like, if you don't like the formula, stop going to the theater.
Look. Is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania high art? No, it's not. But that's not what they were fucking aiming for, man.
To be fair, high art is a real big bean. So I think Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania might be high art.
Might be better.
It's
better than the Beam.
They had several rock guys. That was exciting.
All better than the Beam.
Yeah. It was a fun, dumb superhero movie. It didn't change my life.
Yeah, it didn't hurt me emotionally. Now, to be fair, some superhero movies definitely do that. It didn't, like...
Cough, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, cough.
No coughs, just that. Just fully direct statement. Or Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It didn't... But it's just... The Ant-Man movies have always been the... Guys, can you just relax and have a fun time at the movies for me? Movies of the MCU. And I feel like I can meet Ant-Man where it lives, you know?
I think this is my favorite Ant-Man movie, actually. I like the other two, don't get me wrong.
I mean, it makes absolute sense. It has a lot of really weird creatures and fun vistas and new vision for stuff.
And the theme to Welcome Back, Kotter. I was basically sold when the movie opened. Hey, those of you who used to follow me on Twitch, maybe I'll get back to it someday, check the Patreon. That was the return subscriber noise. So you know how much I've always liked that song.
Yep. But I think if you like the other two Ant-Man movies, you'll like this. If you don't go watch it, or rather do, so it beats Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, you gotta fight that bear.
And be mad in your seat because you don't know how to have fun. And you can learn. It's never too late to not be a dick.
Shit, that's piquant. I'm not gonna step on that. I don't even remember the point I was about to make, so powerful was your statement. I think that fun movies in general, Ant-Man is part of that, or a Jurassic Park movie. I just don't know what people's expectations are when they go to see a movie. I wonder if they've been dragged there, or it's, the we used to stay up all night and drink out of the hose mentality about, man, when I was 9, comic books were very serious and important.
Nobody, I can promise they were dumber. I've been in the comics world for a long time. It has not gotten any less dumb or any more dumb. Comics are stupid. I love them, and they're the dumbest thing in the universe. And Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania fits right in.
I will also say that this is the rough thrust of movie that I wanted from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. There's a lot more awesome tie-in stuff with the other series we've had, integrations.
And a lot more focus on cool alien vistas and less focus on cameos that you're kind of a dick about.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest cameo was they were really cool about.
Yeah, there were cameos of various characters from comics, and the biggest one, I mean, it was played for laughs to a certain extent, but that character is silly, so good, and like it was they weren't an asshole. The makers of Doctor Strange felt like they didn't like the cameos, felt like they were upset they had to be in the movie. The makers of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had fun. You can tell, you can taste the difference between those two things.
Yeah. So let's head into spoiler territory. Do you have any big, long thoughts about this film?
I don't know about big, long thoughts about this film. I mostly just have...
Short and chody ones?
Sort of. I love the framing device. We talked about this on the car ride home, even. You also mentioned liking it. It was just... The framing device of the movie is Scott Lang talking to himself while a little montage of his average day rolls around, both before and after the film. And it's just such a fucking comic books framing device. And I mean that in a very positive way. In previous podcasts about previous MCU properties, I have not always meant that in a positive way. I mean that very positively.
I think so far we've meant it very neutrally. Since the inception of WandaVision and everything that's followed, as the MCU has become more comic booky,
and I think it absolutely has since then.
I think we finally crossed the apex where it's not even worth mentioning anymore. But it was nice to see this specific aspect of comic books, the little yellow narration boxes, as Deadpool would refer to them, happening.
Yeah, and you could almost see them.
Yeah.
And it just made me really happy.
And please, I'm not an idiot. I know people, do soliloquies and monologue to themselves. This is not a new invention, but it was done in a very comic books way. The way the dialogue hit was very much like it would in a comic book. Whether he is, being all happy and carefree in the beginning, or if, he's being kind of panicky toward the end. It was good. It was just a very excellent framing device.
And the movie itself is fun. They don't waste much time.
I like that too.
That's nice. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We spend maybe a total of 10 minutes of this movie outside the quantum realm.
Yeah.
15?
It might even be as much. Well, no, it's only a 2-hour movie, so like 20 minutes maybe.
I feel like not even.
And maybe
I don't even feel like 20 minutes.
Roughly an episode of Violent Profiles outside of the quantum realm.
Everything else happens. The rest of the movie just is going. Like, it just goes and goes and goes.
Yeah, and that was nice. I was really worried we were going to get a lot of long setup.
Well, because the advertising for this movie was very dour.
Yeah, that's another thing I was worried about, is that it wasn't going to be an Ant-Man movie, that it was going to be, like, very legit. And, like, I don't hate that idea in principle, But, I want some fun movies. Guardians 3 looks sad.
I imagine there'll be fun moments in it, but I do think it'll probably be sadder than this.
Yeah, I expect it will be. But, no, this was good. It was tropey, man. It didn't really throw me for a loop. I don't think there was a single time in this movie where I went, oh, but that's okay. It was still entertaining. It was fun. There were several times where I went, whoa, because they had such cool, creative creature and character designs that I was enraptured. It was the same thing that I had good to say about Aquaman, except in a way better fucking movie.
Yeah, it was just a really well made. Like, if you stripped this of the Marvel, of the MCU of it all, you wouldn't have to make too many changes. It's just a really good sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Come on, shrinking yourself down really small and going into some sort of weird alien world. I believe Disney released a movie to that extent like a month ago. It did not do well.
That concept goes back to, like, so far.
Yeah, it is a very formative sci-fi concept, and the really fun shit they do with it felt very pulp in that way, but pulp through a modern lens.
And I like Pulp Fiction in general, so I'm not a discerning palate when it comes to my fiction. Pulp Fiction is how I like it.
Anything else you'd like to comment on specifically?
Go. Unleash the Beast.
I want to talk about the actors in this film, who I, for the most part, really liked. I feel like Evangaline Lilly and, what's her name?
Sharon...
No, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Were okay.
They were very much given the role of, like, especially Michelle Pfeiffer, was given a very hard role to play in a charming way.
I don't know that she was not charming. It's just that some of those deliveries were sort of wooden.
I get what they were going for.
I do too.
They were going for traumatized.
And that they approached that. She approached that, I should say.
But and Evangeline Lilly just didn't get a whole lot of business.
I'll be honest with you. This is one of the most shallow things I've ever said in public. I hate her haircut, even if it's more comics accurate.
I straight up like it because it's more comicsy.
And that must have lost me like 50% buy-in on her character. Just because I had to look at her and see that haircut, and I'm like, ugh, God, no, go away. I mean, it's comics accurate, and that's why she got it, and mad respect to her for that, but
but see, like...
Maybe it's my customer service history, and I was like, oh, man, this woman's going to have some unreasonable demands.
That is the Van Dyne haircut is a Karen haircut.
Yeah.
But the Van Dynes had it first.
Sure. But overall, her character was fine. I think they did a good job.
She just wasn't given a lot.
No, but...
She didn't have a lot to do.
She did well with what she was given. And honestly, like, half the movie she spends going, Mom, tell us the evil secret that we clearly need to know. And Mom was like, or...
I could run away from my problems. Goodbye!
Yeah, that sounds like fun, huh? Running away from our problems? That's good. I think she did an excellent scene when she finally discovered Kang's history. I think that reaction was really good acting.
Where they're working on the thing and then that was genuine, like, horror.
Yeah.
And
I like how complicated these characters are. Because, from a certain point of view, Kang has a point.
Yeah, as he said, he was very clear. They threw him away. The rest of the Kang Empire exiled him because they were scared of him. And that's because he would win, and you want him to win because the others are worse.
Right. Which is what all of the Kangs have said so far, so who knows if that's true or not, but...
well, I mean, of course they all say that.
Right.
That's their deal.
Right.
They're beholders.
Sure. But I like how... one could empathize with this desire to create a better version of the world. Even though he's going about it like an asshole, there is that ounce of, okay, I see where you're coming from. And that makes a more compelling villain than you might expect from this movie.
Honestly, I don't necessarily know that that's Kang's motivation, so much as it is Jonathan Majors being fucking excellent at selling that. Because... every fucking 2-bit tyrant thinks they're making a better version of the world.
Sure.
But you hear his grief.
Sure.
Like, he's an arrogant...
And his fear at what could come to pass if he doesn't do this.
Yeah. You buy that he believes his hype. This isn't some bullshit he's saying because he just wants power. He does just want power. He's a megalomaniac, but he believes that he is unnecessary evil. And that's just down to performance. Jonathan Majors does a fucking fantastic job every time he's in front of my eyes in a Marvel property. I'm so happy about the casting.
Yeah, me too. And that's another thing to mention is that, the writers gave him a motivation, false though it may be. The casting director chose this actor, and this actor chose to knock it out of the park instead of phoning it in.
And there's a lot of places you can drop that ball.
Yeah.
And it all worked beautifully.
He was compelling. And I think it's also compelling, that, and makes her kind of a difficult character that, Janet was so conflicted about where he was coming from and immediately decided not to trust him and didn't ask any questions and then didn't tell anybody anything about it for the last 5 years or what have you. And all this other, wrinkles to make her, although she was doing the right thing and did a lot of freedom fighting in the interim, which I would have loved to have seen. That sounds very interesting.
Give me that fucking movie. Bill Murray and Michelle Pfeiffer as freedom fighters fucking on a yacht. They fucked.
I don't know that I need to see that movie.
Look, that could be a fade to black,
okay,
but like...
thank you. All these things she did, we don't see. We're only told about that and kind of quietly. So it does allow the audience to observe her as difficult, as somewhat of an obstacle. And
which is good, because in the last movie, she came across real simple, angelic, sort of all pure good character. I liked this extra layer.
Yeah, I did too. I also like how they're pulling Hank back, and he's more fun and jokey and having a good time. Like, the characterization for pretty much everyone in this film was better.
Yeah, just on point.
Yeah. I guess Ant-Man was the same. He was fun.
I mean, he's Paul Rudd. He's always the same. He's immortal.
It's nice to see any character just being a good dad. Trying to work with their kids even if they don't understand them. Not snapping and freaking out. Like, that he shows patience and kindness and compassion and tries is so nice.
His teenager is being a teenager and thus fucking incredibly annoying.
I actually also really liked the recasting for Cassie. She did great.
Cassie Lang hasn't made it through a movie yet, man. Like, every time she appears in anything, that's a different actress.
I think it was the same one in 1 and 2. The little girl?
You know what? The little girl may have been the same, yeah.
But yeah, this is, I'm just pleased about all of it. I mean, it's... Excuse me for bringing up an old record that I have played a lot, but it reminds me a lot of Murder, She Wrote. In that they would take this, ensemble cast, sometimes actors playing the same characters, identifiably the same actor, like not just a bit part, and just having fun with it and putting on their show. And it's not the most highbrow entertainment or anything like that, but everyone did a good job. And that's nice. Down to the writers and, the direction. I was very happy with this film. Again, it's not mind-blowing. I would maybe give it a high C, low B after we spoke of letter grades, and I don't usually do those, but...
We do. We manifestly do letter grades for things. We have a whole tier list...
Independent of other things, I don't tend to do them because then my brain goes, well, what all are we factoring in? Hold on. And then 12 hours later, here we are.
But I would say it's I don't know if it's my favorite Marvel movie or my favorite, it's certainly not my favorite Marvel movie. I don't know if it's my favorite Ant-Man movie. I definitely like it better than 1, but I really liked Ant-Man 2.
I don't hate Ant-Man 2. It just is swingier in terms of tone. It's either really serious or really funny.
Whereas this does have a more unified tone.
It's very space opera. It pulls off what it was aiming for, and I'm so glad what it was aiming for was space opera.
Yeah,
it felt like a Mass Effect movie, kind of.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
brain had something I wanted to mention. I got nothing.
Side characters.
Oh, actually, yes. It's time to talk about the big floating head in the room.
Bill Murray?
No. That's just an ego, not the actual head.
Ego's back?
Not quite. It is a mechanized organism designed only for killing.
MODOK.
God, that was funny.
He's not talking about my joke. He's talking about a joke in the film.
That joke. But MODOK is in this. And he's MODOK. He's a giant head with baby legs and tiny arms. And he floats around in his big hover chair. And it's fucking Darren Cross from Ant-Man 1.
I like that everyone takes him seriously.
No one takes him seriously. Everyone takes him genuinely.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. They are concerned for this giant head, a little squicked out. And then he starts trying to kill them, and they're like, oh shit. But, like, no one makes a joke out of him. He's already a joke.
He is in the universe, a joke, because they made a big CGI Darren Cross head. But I saw some people complaining. This is the one spoiler I had for this movie, that MODOK was back and it was Darren Cross.
Which I think was in a late trailer, actually, looking to gather data for this podcast I found.
Well, there we go. But people are mad that it looks silly. Y'all don't read comics. Everyone who's mad that MODOK looks silly in this movie, y'all fake nerds. Y'all don't read comics. MODOK looks fucking silly. MODOK's a big silly head with baby legs. He looks stupid. He always has. They nailed that. They nailed that assignment.
The only thing he lacked was a weird Doc Ock haircut, and honestly, I'm kind of glad.
I liked bald.
Yeah,
it was good.
Good choice.
I love that they've paid off.
Do you think he shaves that giant head?
Do you think Darren Cross shaved his head? He felt
Oh,
like a natural balding.
It's entirely possible. I just didn't entertain the idea until literally just now.
I feel like that was handled in his MODOKification.
In my heart of hearts, in the show Between These Ears, he uses those big giant razor blade things to gently shave his head down.
Big laser buzzsaws. They gave him laser buzzsaws. That's so hilariously unnecessary. And I fucking love living in 2023. I love living in phase 9 or whatever it is we're in the MCU, because it was in my lifetime when they wouldn't even put Wolverine in his fucking spandex. And now MODOK is flying around with his baby legs and his fucking laser buzzsaws, chasing around fucking Ant-Man's kid. Great. A+. I love it. Give me more.
One of the other things I like about MODOK is how he keeps trying to make these very personal connections, like, you know, you killed my father, prepare to die kind of thing.
And just no one.
And no one is that connected to him that they care. So he's been seething in this anger, and they're like, okay, buddy.
Very much the reverse of Chun-Li and
of
M.
Thanos
Bison.
and Wanda.
Yeah. Thanos and Wanda, Chun-Li and M. Bison. Like, for Darren Cross, he was thrown into the quantum realm, and all that was left alive was his head. He was taken and experimented on by a space future tyrant until he was a giant head with baby legs, and strapped into like a hover device, and his only remit in life was to kill and serve in the name of Kang. And it's all Scott Lang's fault, and I will kill you. You are my rival. For Scott Lang, it was a weird Tuesday.
I will offer one minor correction. Clearly, he got fucked up by the growthy shrinky. He still had his arms and legs, and got a giant head.
That's fair. Well, to be fair, it's relative size baby legs, but they are like normal size legs on the giant head.
That motherfucker landed in the quantum realm, embiggened, just in the one place, though.
Just the head.
Just the head. I love that, actually, because Ant-Man mentions his baby legs, and he's like, what the hell, they're regular? And he holds one up as though to indicate.
Yeah.
Missing the fucking point. It's just great. It's just fantastic. I guess maybe there's some people out there who wanted to see MODOK treated legitimately.
He was! MODOK is a comedy villain. Nobody's scared of MODOK.
I mean, they're as scared as they should be. Like, I do not like looking at you. And you have weapons.
You have laser guns and buzzsaws, and you are a terrible scientist, but you're not a horror movie villain. You're not fucking Thanos. You're MODOK. Nobody's scared of MODOK.
The thing I like most about MODOK, however, is how it reflects on Kang. Because as much gravitas as is brought to the role, he did think MODOK was a good idea.
He did.
And that's like baked into a lot of the character underneath, is that he's giving these grand speeches, and he's like...
And he has this very serious, dour delivery of these things,
But then his entire army gets aced by a handful of rebels and some ants. And you can see on his face as it happens, like, I was not as prepared for this as I thought. Shit.
Like, he has this really hard-ass line, fucking, when they first talk to each other, Scott Lang is like, I'm an Avenger. You've messed up. And he's like, have I killed you before? You're not the one with the hammer, right? But then he gets his fucking fade run by ants, so I don't know that this guy has killed Thor.
That reminds me of something else as well. I appreciate that some characters were allowed to die.
Yeah, nobody really important, but like some secondaries.
But yeah, some secondaries. That was nice. Just a lot of media I've been digesting lately, and like, it's nice. You love to see your favorites come back. Did I wish they killed Korg in Ragnarok? No, or in Love and Thunder? No.
It was war. People dying.
Yeah, we're allowed to have those tragedies, and I'm glad that in Ant-Man, of all things, we were allowed to have that tragedy.
I mean, to be fair, the most prominent one was that guy who wanted to keep torturing people. So it's not like...
I really wanted to see him get to torture Kang. I was really hoping for that moment.
Yeah. We should torture him. You know what? You're right.
Yeah, that was the delivery I wanted. I was not expecting the holes. That was not the brick joke I thought we were getting.
It was very funny, though.
You wanted to give specific praise, speaking of holes, to, what's his name? The guy from The Good Place.
Oh, God. I do not remember his real name.
William Jackson Harper.
Yes.
As Quaz.
So I haven't seen much of The Good Place, but William Jackson Harper is my favorite actor from it by like a mile. He is great. I'm so glad he's in an MCU movie, even if he never comes back to do anything again. And he does the thing that you should probably always do if you have a telepath character, which is, you're a telepath, you can read minds? Yes, and I really wish I couldn't. Everyone is awful. And then the person they're speaking to is immediately awful. That is just my favorite bit.
I love that they used him so practically. Like not, removing his ability for drama or anything, or like allowing things to simmer and leaving plot holes. Nope, he just shows up when he can and reads minds and goes, okay, that checks out.
Or, the code is this. Good shit.
Yeah, it was good. It was very nice.
I did want to also give a special shout out to them putting a little respect on Hank Pym's name, because all of these other people, Hope Van Dyne and Scott and I have Cassie.
Yeah, Cassie.
They're all fighting Kang, and like the rebels are fighting Kang, and Kang is just absolutely murking people. He's killed dozens of people in 4 seconds. He has the air of a book series I read once, Mistborn series. There is an evil emperor in it who's effectively immortal, can't be killed. Not just, ageless, cannot be killed. So there's a rebellion at one point, so he just starts killing people one at a time with his bare hands. He's immortal. He'll get to all of you eventually. That's that level of just workman-like. This is not new. This is the equivalent of having to take out a bag of leaves from the lawn. He has that energy until fucking Hank Pym shows up, swaggering in just the fucking coolest outfit, and just kills him with ants.
It's very
I like ants.
Yeah. It reminded me, while I was watching it, of Darth Vader, how we can view him now. Basically every appearance he's made since the OT. Well, in the prequels, I suppose. Darth Vader, I'm talking about specifically. because we know when he dies. So he's not going to die. So no matter what ridiculous odds you want to put him up against, he will succeed.
Because he's fucking Darth Vader.
So whether that's in video games, comic books, movies, TV shows, he gets to be an absolute, unstoppable, hard-ass monster that people are legitimately terrified of for obvious reason, thus lending credence to, the way he's treated in the original trilogy. And that just is the way it is. It's good. You can put him up against these odds and watch him win.
Yeah, it's great.
And the fact that, this Kang, who was stranded in the quantum realm forever, is still such a badass.
That, he's casually just beating the fuck out of the entire hero squad. Until Hank Pym, fucking OG Ant-Man, shows up with ants.
Ants who did the same thing that he did and built their own society from scratch.
But theirs was socialism, and thus stronger.
Now, I know socialism is a difficult word. It was good. It was a good film. It was fun. We had a fun time. You should see it and have a fun time. And you know what? You can catch Cocaine Bear later. It'll be on Netflix or something.
I'm gonna.
Sure. Anything else you wanted to talk about with Quantumania?
Not that I can think of.
Ants.